to East Coast DNA. So,
Thanks for having me.
nice little set of bonus episodes since we happen to get
Yeah.
a lot of response for firing a few out leading up to and throughout the music week.
Yeah, it's great, man. I was just checking out a few today. Daniel
Awesome.
James and Mike
Oh,
Ryan,
yes.
my buddy Bruce, fellow Mabler,
There'd be a few you would know. I was going to ask you that actually. So now you're from Mabu originally?
From Mabu, originally live here now. I'm coming to you from Mabu. I moved away kind of after I went to St. FX, for university, and then I kind of moved away from Mabu after that. I went to Windsor, Ontario, and then I was in BC and Vancouver, and then I went back to Halifax, and then slowly petered my way back here, late 20. I kind of spent a decade bopping around and came back home.
Sure. So you would have been around. I mean, I don't want to date you too much.
Oh, you date. You go ahead. Look at this face.
Yeah, I was going to say.
I've been around forever.
When we were talking online, we both kind of felt like we maybe knew each other somehow.
Oh, I'm sure we must have met in a past life somewhere.
Yeah,
I used to play Halifax so often back in the day at places like the Attic, playing a pool, and even the Marquee with bands like Who Knew and Jimmy Swift and Dr. Yellow Fever and Grand Theft Bus and even Slow Coaster back then. I'm kind of dating those boys as well, but we all used to play and tour together all the time.
Those guys are still around too, because they've had a few local shows, like Nova Scotia local.
Yeah, fantastic band, fantastic energy.
Yes.
Yeah, so I've been around a long time.
And you would have been touring years ago as the Aaron MacDonald Band.
Aaron MacDonald Band, yeah, real original. What happened was I played during university, and that's when I started cutting my teeth and playing shows at St. FX. And then after X, I kind of moved to Ontario, and I played shows there. I ended up first night in I had a brother that lived in Windsor, Ontario, so that's why I chose there. I just kind of went up to stay with him. And first night there, he took me to this kind of East Coast pub there, and I ended up playing a few songs that first night in town. And the owner of the pub gave me a weekly gig there, and it turned out to be kind of every Tuesday and then every Thursday and even some Sundays. So before I knew it, I was playing 2 or 3 times a week in Windsor, Ontario. That's where I kind of started. And then I went out to BC and I was playing out there, the kind of same thing, little pubs and bars. But it was when I moved back to Halifax in 1999 where I started playing a lot, touring a lot.
And so the 5-piece band.
Yeah.
Is that the same lineup all?
Yeah. For a bit, yes. I was when I first moved back to the East Coast, and like I said, in '99, I ended up playing a lot of gigs by myself and opening for a lot of people, like Bert Nielsen Band and even Thrush Hermit, even our friend Joel Blaskett back in those days. And the Guthries, Matt Mays before Matt Mays, playing shows with all those type of people. And then I was trying to get my own headline gigs, and they said a lot of bars around there were like, well, get a band. So I just started. I kind of had a guitar player that I met at Jay Cleary. He played with me, and then a friend of mine, Johnny, played bass. He ended up playing bass with Hoagie for years, if you recall that band.
Yeah.
And then my brother-in-law he's my brother-in-law now, but Neil McQuarrie, he ended up being my drummer. I collected a few guys, but all the while I had these solo shows, and then it was duo shows, and it was trio shows. It was 4-piece, and it was a 5-piece. So it was just my own name, So at the end, we just tagged on band at the end. It was the Aaron MacDonald Band. And eventually there was 5 of us in a 94 Chevy van driving around Canada for, 6-7 years for sure. And some of us are part of a decade.
And so now I don't remember it as vividly as I'd like to, but I do recall your name kicking around from back those days. And you name dropped a few names that anyone listening to this would know too.
Yeah.
So was there a time after that and before your new stuff that there was no Aaron MacDonald content coming out?
Yeah. Well, there was no Aaron MacDonald content sort of coming out for sure. I have 4 kids now, so by the time I had my second or third, and in between my second and third, I kind of started slowing down on the touring, and the recording. So my last sort of official release came out in 2009, and then and so then I just I couldn't maintain that lifestyle anymore with the family and growing, and so I slowed down on the touring, slowed down on the recording, but I continued to write all the time. I played I still played local shows up in Cape Breton here, and I just went from home. Tried to get home every night after every show. I continued to play. You just didn't tour, and I can always continue to write, and I did that for almost a decade.
Yeah.
And then just when COVID hit, just looking at life, and my kids are now. My oldest is in grade 12, graduating this year, and my other kids are getting older. I mean, they really put time in perspective.
Yeah.
And I just realized when COVID hit, and here I am sitting on literally hundreds of songs, and haven't put any out in a decade, and I just had this itch to be like, I think it's time for me to just start at least letting people hear this music that I've been writing all this time. So I just, at COVID, we were in hard lockdown then, so I had to figure out how to do it myself. So I bought this little Apogee One interface, and just kind of taught myself how to record. Even though I put albums out in the early years, I never paid any attention to recording. I just stood at the microphone and sang, and somebody else looked after everything else. So I kind of had to learn from scratch, and I found myself thoroughly enjoying it all. So
Yeah.
I got right into it. We were all in lockdown, and I just got totally absorbed into the production end of my music, and just putting songs together,
And then all of your marketing, social media and stuff and everything, is that all you as well?
It's all me. It's everything. I'm a one-man show here. It's
yeah,
but I had a Bachelor of Information Systems from St. FX, so it's kind of science before, but I mean, everything I learned there is sort of in a museum now, but I've always had a keen interest on technology and software, and like graphic design is I love doing it. I'm by no means a professional in any way, but I just really enjoy it. And and even in my older age here now, I find myself, I like to have a little more control on everything. I'm trying to do this sort of taking a different approach this time. I used to just, let other people handle stuff for me and just not be involved. I was just like, I'll just sing and play, but now it's like, it's not that I don't want to work with other people. I'm still working with the musicians I have and friends, and Mike Ryan mastered my album. He's been a great resource for me. But it's just, I feel like I'm just learning it all new again. So I just kind of want to do it myself, just learn and learn more. I'm totally interested.
And there's a lot of parallels. I mean, anyone that's listened to a lot of our episodes and heard me and my brother Andrew mention just some of our own personal anecdotes along with the podcast. It's your earlier part of the career would have been my drinking days when I was going to the bars, and then when you were slowing down, I was also having children.
Yeah.
And then during COVID, I started the podcast. So, I mean, just at the high level, even there, you can see how there's some parallels. So.
Yeah. And that's probably half the reason with me. Like, I haven't had a drink in 11 years now, and I spent a lot of time in my early days with that 5-piece band. I mean, that was a big part of our lifestyle, a big part. And I think that's half the reason I didn't want to pay attention to a lot of things. Like, and I didn't care about pushing my music then. It was more about, I felt like I was some kind of, I don't even know what, some kind of artist that didn't need to bother with pushing social media or marketing. As I say, I'm just going to play my music, and
as long as you're busy.
They don't. Yeah, and so now I'm just sort of refocused. I'm a little smarter, a little wiser, a little healthier, and I've been enjoying it more than I ever have, So it's been good.
And now one thing that I always have a hard time bringing this up with different people that we go on when we start talking about genres, because especially Andrew and I just chatting on these episodes, we really stick away from genres. But then as soon as we start talking to somebody, we want to put a label on them subconsciously.
Well, it's hard. It's hard. Everybody wants to sort of figure out what the sound is.
Yeah.
And, but for me, I've always called it kind of roots music, roots rock, country rock. I mean, I was born and raised in country music. I can't deny that. Like my entire childhood was all country music. All my parents. Even though I was born and raised in Malibu.
Yeah.
Fiddles everywhere.
Yeah, exactly.
That's not what my folks listened to. Even though I heard it everywhere I went as a child, and every party, every kitchen party, every place, fiddles. But in my house growing up, it was music. That was my first love until I probably halfway through university at St. FX, I kind of, some of my friends, honestly, for the first time in my life, I'd listened to Bob Dylan when I was probably 20 years old. And the Grateful Dead and Paul Simon, and then Dave Matthews was coming along, and then he just sent me for another level altogether.
That era was, it was a nice resurgence of classic bands in general. Like everybody really appreciated the older bands, but then all the new bands that were coming out were so unique. that like you really could find a musical taste anywhere. You just needed to turn
So
the TV or the radio on.
yeah. No, I feel the same way. And so now I'm, you know, I'm 46 and I have this like country music background, but this love of the jam band scene, which really was what I was in for a long time. Like we were in the jam band scene across Canada. And I have a love for all that type of music. And now I don't know, they call it Americana, which I guess now is, you know, it's a good little lump us all together with some kind of sound, you know. But country rock is, I still call it country rock.
Yeah,
it's like, you know, that's what I feel like I play.
and it definitely, for me, I would put it in that category. Some people try to shy away from the country. We've mentioned that a couple in this series, but I mean, it is what it is.
It is what it
And
is. Like I
it's not a
used to
bad
be.
thing.
No, I mean, there's new country, pop country, you know, that I probably don't listen to much of. You know, my kids do,
Yeah.
but I'm not a. Some people are ashamed of listening to country music. It seems like, you know, it's some kind of faux pas. But I mean, I love it. 90s country. You give me Brooks and Dunn and Garth Brooks, all that. I mean, that was my Travis Tritt was a god to me at the time when I was growing up in high school.
Yeah.
And that's where those were the first songs I learned the guitar. You know, folks like that.
No, those names are known still for a reason.
Oh, well, that's right. You know, and for a while there though, when I got introduced to Dylan and the Dead and Fish and I mean Paul Simon, I went down all these rabbit holes. I pushed country music away and Celtic music away and East Coast music, all that stuff. I was like, no, I'm never playing that or listening to it again. And I went a long time without even refusing to play a cover song. Went years, like, and I just wanted to go down the jam band scene and explore and do all those type of things. You know, we had 2 electric guitars, me on the acoustic, drums and bass. We were just, you know, we were trying to do our own experiment thing. You know, I don't know what it was. But now it's like I'm finding myself reconnecting with it all. I love it even more. It's funny how it goes.
Is it being, well, I mean, we've already referenced COVID, but being in the Cape Breton region and things being slowed down and locked down and just having time to reflect, is that just kind of,
it's a big part of it? Yeah. I mean, that's half the reason why I moved here, you know, long before COVID, was the pace. Like the pace of life it's just a little slower here, which is what I needed at the time, right? I mean, and not that I stopped drinking when I decided to move back to Cape Breton, but it was, you know, moving back here was the start of sort of that process. I guess looking back now, I didn't know it then, but you know, that's when I met my wife and got married and we started having a family and you know, built a house here at home.
Everything's just clicking.
Everything's just clicking, and it was like I love traveling and I love cities and I love exploring, but I need to be able to sit and relax in my own little bubble quietly, like to sort of decompress, you know. And Mabel gives me that. This hometown gives me that, like, all the time. My house and my yard, I just sit on the step with my dogs, and I don't really have a lot of neighbors around, and it's quiet, and I need that.
And so the album that came out of you getting back into this with COVID and everything, It's Been Too Long was nominated for Americana Bluegrass Recording of the Year.
Yeah, Americana Bluegrass Album of the Year. Yeah, pretty crazy. Yeah, pretty exciting.
And, I think the listeners for this interview probably heard a snippet of your Gonna Get There single on the way into this interview.
Yeah, I mean, that was kind of the song that spurred me on, you know. That was at a time we were in a hard lockdown, and you know, people are dropping food off at everybody else's house here and there, and I was just thinking, and again, from a small town, we always say it takes a village, you know, to raise a family, and it takes a village for us all to get through life. I really felt like that's what was happening during COVID. It takes a village. Or somebody else is like texting on Facebook. You see, like, I'll go drop off some stuff on your doorstep, or just let me know what you need. I'll go pick it up for you. And it's like, man, it's taken us all to get through this mess, and you know, for us all to get there, you know, to get through it all. Right? It just takes, take every help from everyone I know and everybody I thought I knew, you know. And when I wrote that song, it was I wrote it, I recorded it in probably about 2 hours flat. And
wow.
Yeah, it was just one of those things, like, you know, songs, I've been lucky, songs come pretty quickly for me all my life. It's more like I feel like sometimes they're just coming through me. I don't ever sit down to try to write a song. It's just a matter of it just I pick up the guitar and I get this idea, and usually within 15, 20 minutes something's out there, you know. And sometimes I don't even understand myself if I kind of play it back and read it back. But that song, yeah, I did it in about 2 hours. And I remember my cousin Brendan MacDonald lives in Halifax. He used to play with Kill.
Yes.
And I sent it to him, and I was like, "Oh my god, I like that song, turned out pretty good." And again, just learning the production side of things as well, right? And he was like, "Oh my god, it sounds great." And I was like, "I think I'm just going to release it." And I just put it out there, and the response I got was amazing from it. I honestly couldn't believe it. So then that just spurred me on to just keep working on more and more and more songs. And that's literally what I've been doing.
And it was really like, it's a really catchy song, so I'm not
Yeah.
surprised that it got traction based on that. But it's
Yeah.
so positive. Like,
well, yeah, you know, I try with all my music, even a lot of stuff might be inspired by, you know, darker times or darker themes or what have you. Because I mean, I write to process what's going on in the world, and my world specifically, what I'm seeing and what my kids and family are going through. And sometimes, you know, sometimes I lean to the dark side of things or kind of go down those tunnels. But I try to make sure the music is upbeat, even though I might be talking about something like that. But I've always listened to music to escape to a better place. You know, I
yes.
struggle to listen to music that might be more melancholy and sort of bring me down. It's like I feel there's enough of life to do that. And music is more, I want to tap my toe, I want to bop my head, I want to feel the groove, I want to, like, you know, and that's what every time I write a song, it's like I want it to be more upbeat, positive, you know.
Well, it definitely came across in that album. Now you're going into Music Week with the nomination for that album, but
Mm-hmm.
then before we even get there, just like a week ago or maybe
Yeah.
two, you
Yeah, a
had a
couple weeks
new
ago.
album on
Yeah, I got a new
October
album come out,
14th.
Rights and Wrongs. Yeah, Rights and Wrongs came out at the end of September. And then, well, it's, you know, I have so many songs, and I've been working
Yeah.
on 50, 60 songs at a time. And there was no rhyme or reason really it's been too long. Last year's record there, it was just, I had 6, 7 songs ready. So I was like, okay, oh, they're gone. And then this record was the same idea. I'd say I had about 16 or 17 songs that I felt were ready. And so I put 12 of them on this record. And it's like I'm just going to keep chipping away and chipping away and chipping away and just keep pumping out, you know, records. Like, it's so easy with technology today to do it, you know. It's like,
yeah,
the last time I recorded an album, you were like, you were in a studio, you made CDs, and if that person didn't have a copy of that album in their hand and listening to it, they never heard it, you know, more or less, right? And now it's like you just one click of a button and it's everywhere in the world. It's crazy to me. The technology is there, so I've been taking full advantage of it. I want to re-record old songs that I released independently years ago. I want to go through all these new songs. I like, you know, just again with this COVID and my kids aging and getting older and my daughter's going to be leaving the house next year. I'm like, man, I need to put this down so that there's for my grandkids, great grandkids to hear and know that, you know, I was here. You know, I'm trying to make my own little mark on this place.
And from that album, when your release party, you had Elise Aaron play with you as well that night.
Yeah, we had a release party in Dominion. Elise Aaron opened up for me. Her and GT. Okay. She's great, man. And you know, anytime I can get a chance to play with them, you know, and plus she's a young artist trying to do original music and get out there. So like, I'm a firm believer in trying to, like, you know, if I have any way I can help out and let somebody open up a show, I mean, by all means, it's, you know, that's what it's all about.
She's going to be part of this series actually after you.
Yeah, no, she's great, man. And she's working on a new record now at Sound Park Studios with Jamie Folds. I mean, I already told her, I said, I'm probably going to be extremely jealous when I hear it. Yes. It's probably going to sound so good. Yeah. You know? But I've done a few release shows around the province. We did the Carleton last week. We did Dominion last week as well. We were in Antigonish just passed. And I had some PEI shows that got postponed due to Fiona, but we're going back there in November. I'm off to New Brunswick this coming weekend, you know, going to Fredericton and Moncton. And I'm getting around Atlantic Canada, which is good. It's, you know, for a fellow that used to tour around Canada a lot, it's just kind of feels good to just go around the Maritimes a little bit and just fill out some old faces, some old friends.
And you've got showcase on the Music weekend, the Friday.
Showcase, yeah, the Friday at 9 o'clock at Daniels. Yeah, we're in part of the country music showcase stage. pretty excited for that. Like we've been doing these release shows with the bands. Things are getting like real tight, so we're pretty excited. Um, no, I don't get to do every show with the band. I do a lot of solo and duo stuff as well. So like, we're just super excited. We've been like, we're just getting tighter every show. So by the time the music awards come around, we feel like we're just going to be just rocking and rolling. So,
that is something I was sharing with somebody that it's their first time going this year, and I was just comparing notes, and I said one thing is that everyone's bringing their A game, because it's like it's not just a regular show, it's a showcase. So and you, like you just said, you guys have been playing a lot of these songs recently together. So like,
and the other thing too is like my drummer Neil and my bass player Johnny and my guitar player Greg. Like Greg wasn't sort of in our original group 5 years ago, but he was always on the sidelines, and we knew, I've known him that long, and we played a lot of shows together. So the core of us have been together off and on for 20 years playing gigs together. So we know each other well, and there's such a familiarity there, feeling it on stage, playing music. It just comes, it comes pretty easy for us all to kind of play. So we have that benefit too of time and history and experience. So now we're all at a point in our lives where like we know how valuable time is, and these shows are, and we just enjoy it. Just to get a chance to showcase a music week, we're going to light it up.
Well, yeah, absolutely. It's for your songwriting process where you're going by your own name now, and the band is dropped for the most part. Do the rest of the band add their pieces after you've written like a solo version of the song?
100%.
Yeah.
Songs come so fast. I wouldn't have.
You'd never. Well, that's what I was thinking. You wouldn't have time
to like. I honestly wouldn't have time. Like I'm usually like scribbling as fast as I can to like get the lyrics out, because they're in my head, and I'm just like racing to get it out. And so I write the song. I usually just like I just come down around my house, and it's like, oh, I'll just grab the guitar and I'll sit in the kitchen, have a cup of coffee, and just sit there. And my kids are walking around eating breakfast, whatever, and I'm just noodling, and then I get an idea and a little spark, and I sometimes don't know what it is. I just kind of mumble over a melody, and I kind of mumble around a little bit, and then all of a sudden a phrase comes out of nowhere, like a single phrase or a couple of words. I'm like, ooh. And then I just try to do a verse, and then I don't worry about structure of songs, whether it's a verse, chorus, bridge, all that. To me, it's like a song could have 5 verses and be done, or it could have your bridge and your chorus and all those pieces. Like I don't stress about songwriting in that way and try to write the perfect song. To me, it's more about just processing the moment, letting it pass through, and whatever it is, it is. And it's fortunately for me, I got so many songs that some of them are catchy and upbeat and people like them, But then exactly. And I'm the type, I write a song today, I have a show tonight, I'm 99% sure I'm probably singing it. And if the 5-piece band is with me, we're singing it on the fly. I'll be like, boys, this isn't. But that comes back to the jam band scene, That was what it was all about. It's like there's no script. I didn't take a set list for 15 years. I probably never took a set list on stage. I refused. It's like you feel the crowd, feel what they're responding to. We jam it out, like we don't know what we're going to do. That was all part of the scene of it all. And so now I'm a little more, structured. I mean, I take a set list, but do I follow it all the time? Not really. I kind of still like to feel the crowd, see how the night is evolving. But so I'll usually just play a new song right away, and we'll start playing it at shows. And then they're almost working out the parts. So by the time we actually get around to recording it, they've known the song, they know what the feel is, But these guys know my style now so well that like. To me, it's basically like I got 3 kinds of songs. Like I have country song, rock song, or what I call like John Prine song, like more folky, And that's basically all I tell them. This kind of got a country vibe. This has a more rock vibe. If picture like Black Crowes playing country music. That's what I tell Greg on guitar sometimes. And then this is like a folk John Prine song, boys. Just keep it nice and mellow but they know the feel I'm going for. It's like I've been saying it these past few shows with this release little kind of tour. Sometimes it blows me away on stage. It's you hear these things, these sounds in your mind when you write a song, when you play it. So many times you're hearing what you imagine it to sound like with more instruments and more people behind you, and then they start creating those sounds on stage live, while we're singing it, and it's just well, that's what it's all about for me. There's nothing better than that. Just capturing those moments of these talented people. Like, I feel blessed that they're playing on my music. I'm spoiled. I have, Trevor Wenzel on keys and saxophone. This guy's genius, right? And Johnny on bass, Greg on guitar, Neil on drums. I got another friend from Abu here who would be friends with Bruce as well. Peter McGinnis, he's got banjo, guitar, ukulele, harmonica. There's a wall of sound, and it's just an awful lot of fun. Let me tell you.
And so everyone's Cape Breton based, or you got a
No,
couple guys in the city?
Johnny lives in Antigonish. Johnny Grant,
Okay.
he's on the bass. He lives in Antigonish. Greg Fabro is in Guysborough, formerly from Duncan. He's a Cape Bretoner, but he's been in Guysborough for years. Married to Jessica Wright. And brother-in-law would be Jason Wright from the Stanfield. So very musical crew there, the Fabros. Jess kind of jumps. Wonderful. Peter McGinnis, who's on guitar and banjo and ukulele and harp. He's from Abu here. He lives here. Trevor lives in Halifax, and then I'm here in Abu. So we're kind of Neil's Inverness, just up the road here as well. So kind of half of us in Cape Breton, half of us on the mainland, but it's like
a good mix for packing a house, getting around the Maritimes too. Because you're kind of the local band for a lot of different areas, so you can kind of feed off of that, which helps.
It all helps. Like, it all helps. We're like, I feel like I'm talking in circles sometimes, but we're just having so much fun, and we went a long time without playing together as well. Like, in that decade where I was kind of raising my family, and they had kids as well, and jobs and careers and other things going on at the same time. But we feel like we're all just sort of reconnecting again, even though we've always been around each other, but musically reconnecting. This last year has been crazy for me. Like, honestly, like, for the first time in my life, I've been playing music. I'm creeping 30 years of gigging, but I have a manager now, Bruce Morrell. I got to sign on with him after the ECMAs this past year, and I got a publicist, Alex Cook, formerly from the East magazine.
Oh yes,
he started his own sort of PR firm, Greenberry Creative, and he took me on as a client as well. So, and this nomination and these showcases and this band, and it's I almost don't know what's going on, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it's
I just been trying to, like, but I'm just taking it one day at a time, one song at a time, one gig at a time, and just trying to enjoy it all. Because I realize now more than ever how fragile it all is,
And what should fans expect going into 2023?
Oh, a lot. I'm looking at Ontario. I'm looking at out west, like, not any major tours, but specific shows, like going to Toronto maybe for a weekend, going back to Windsor, Ontario, for a weekend here and there. I was out in BC this summer for like 5 days, like, just trying to do some strategic shows. I'm not at a point in my life where I could just jump in a bus and go on a 3-week tour somewhere. And I don't even know if I'd want to do that anymore. I kind of just want to do more strategic shows, but I have an idea for an acoustic album that I've been trying to put together the last 6 months, just trying to find everybody's schedules to get them together. I got some more content coming up, video content for this new album, Right Wrongs. I'm continually writing and recording some of this material that I've been sitting on for so long, and lots more shows coming up. And there's really, I don't plan on really slowing down, but I'm just taking it slow and steady.
Actually, I'm thinking, in the sequence of these bonus episodes, it's like Cape Breton, Cape Breton, Cape Breton, and you're naming a bunch of people. I'm like, yeah, I know who those people are, but they're not necessarily the same people from the other interviews either. So it sounds like, whether you like it or not, Cape Breton's going to be full of music constantly for the next few years.
And really, like, unbeknownst to maybe some people out there, it always has been. Like we've been, like, even around here, there's so many closet musicians. It's crazy. Like, everyone around here, you go to any house, they sing or play or dance or do something. And even on this album, Saturday Just Tells Me Lies is kind of a John Prine track on the new record. But I got a friend of mine, Wanda Beat. She just lives down the road. She's just a friend of mine and my wife's, that is from Abu. I've known her my whole life, and She loves singing at parties. She's not a singer. She doesn't perform or any of that stuff, but she's a wonderful singer, you know. And so when I had this song, it's like, you need to record this, you know, come on this for me. And she was all nervous, but she did a wonderful job. And actually at Blueberry Jam, the Harvest Series, we just played there a couple of weeks ago. I convinced her to come up stage and play with us. She loved it. And,
awesome.
But just an example of just another quote unquote regular person here in Cape Breton that is super talented. You know, there's all kinds, you know, and but it is good to see more doing it in a way that's more visible for people, you know.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people putting out some good stuff.
Oh, it's all been gold.
Right. I'm just
wonderful.
tickled pink to be part of it.
And speaking, I mean, you just mentioned one of the songs from the new album, which was actually one of the ones I just had on just before you and I started talking here. As we end this interview, we've been playing out with different songs.
Yeah.
So is there something from Rights and Wrongs that you'd like to play out for everyone to hear?
Yeah, man, sure. Like one of the special tracks for me is "You Came in Time." I got my daughter Penny Lou to sing on that. She's just turning 11 in 2 days, and she loves singing. And I wrote that song kind of about my family, my kids specifically, and how they kind of entered my life at the right time to kind of take me off of that track I was on. You know, in my younger days of touring and drinking heavy and partying and just all that stuff. So they kind of pulled me back on the rails, and they came at the right time before something real bad would happen. So I'm surprised we didn't do some damage, permanent damage to ourselves, like back in those days, you know, or someone else, God forbid. And so when I wrote the song, and I just knew I wanted to hear like a child's voice, and she was there, Penny. I got her to sing. So pretty proud of it, and she did such a great job. But yeah, you can definitely play that track on the way.
Awesome, wonderful treat for everyone. And hopefully anybody listening that's at Music Week gets a chance to come out and see you on the Friday evening.
100%, man. Would love to see everyone. And come say hello if you do, man. Come say hello.
I'll be bumming around the site a little bit and doing a few interviews myself, but like to meet you in person there too.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I'm a firm believer in shaking hands.
Yes, absolutely. Well, thanks again for the time.
No problem, man. I appreciate you having me. This is awesome. You guys are doing great stuff, man. We need all kinds of you.
Oh, it's I could use a few more of me to keep up with the current slate.
I feel the same way. Yeah.
But I'm sure as winter kicks in, everyone's going to be writing and planning their tours. So we'll do a little catch up and get ready for the new year too.
Awesome, man.
Thanks again. And like I say, I hope to see you at Music Week itself.
No, for sure, Darcy. Thanks so much, man. Appreciate it.
Thanks again.
Take care.
Bye.
I've been walking for years now, tripping on my feet, trying to dodge the potholes in the middle of the street. No matter where I'm going, no matter where I've been, they always seem to find me, I always fall in. I'm just trying to sort it all out, everything I find. Feel I'm going through this whole world walking blind. I thought about leaving, I waited for a sign, and you came in time. Hearing lots of voices, most of them are ghosts, trying to put my focus on what matters most. Need something better in this life of mine, and you came in time. I'll never be perfect, I'm not without sin. There's too many shadows, the places I've been. I'm leaving that behind me, traveling to the light. Need you to guide me, show me what is right. I'm just trying to sort it all out, everything I find. Feel I'm going through this whole world walking blind. Thought about leaving, I waited for a sign, and you came in time. Hearing lots of voices, most of them are ghosts, trying to put my focus on what matters most. I needed something better in this life of mine, and you came in time. I'm just trying to sort it all out, everything I find. Feel I'm going through this whole world walking blind. I thought about leaving, I waited for a sign, and you came in time. Hearing lots of voices, most of them are ghosts, trying to put my focus on what matters most. I needed something better in this life of mine, and you came in time. I needed something better in this life of mine.